Yeah, I just wanted to take a second while you guys had Giannis. I actually wrote down a couple things I wanted to start with. I think I want to start with is just it's important for me to start today saying a priority is to continue the conversation about racial equality and social justice. Today and every day, we must push to be better in our city, in our state, in our country. And I think it's really important, not just today, but going forward, that we continue the conversation. And then secondly, I just wrote a note. I'd like to give credit to the commissioner, Adam Silver, and the entire group at the NBA for leading us to this day in the midst of the pandemic. They have done as much as possible and will continue going forward to put the players, coaches, and staff in a safe environment, limiting as much as possible our risk. Thank you, Adam. Thank you to the NBA for getting us back. So, all right, that's my incredible writing without Dan Smichek or Barry Baum. Okay, what you guys got?
Matt Velasquez, we'll start with you.
All right, Bud, how's it going? Oh, I'm just dandy. Just kind of, now you'll be able to get back in the gym and be with the guys. What's the kind of feeling like as you get back into maybe some sort of rhythm, and kind of what are you seeing and hearing as you kind of work with guys on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I mean, I think this group, continues to have great focus, their work ethic, and today is an important day, but, I think the work that they've been doing, really the entire time for this hiatus and during this pandemic has, I may not have been able to talk to them face to face or different things like that, but the communication has been super high with me and them, with the staff and them, just everywhere. So today's important, but there's been a ton of good work, a ton of good energy. Like I said, the focus and the desire to get back has been strong throughout, and today's another part of that.
Lori Nickel, Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel.
Hey, Coach, thank you. I wondered if you had, the reaction to the pandemic right now is all over the place. I mean, some people have no concern whatsoever. Other people, are very concerned about being in groups and social distancing. You don't have that option right now. Did you have any concerns leading up to this, or things that you needed reassurances from the medical staff or the league of how things might go in Orlando to make you feel comfortable to come back to work?
Yeah, I mean, I think, all of us individually have, things that are on our minds. But I think the biggest thing is there's just a ton of faith. And again, Adam Silver as the commissioner, the NBA, their entire group, the amount that they've leaned on science and experts and pushed to put us in the safest possible environment, just put a lot of faith in the work of the NBA. And certainly we're motivated and excited about going back and playing. So between the faith in the NBA and our excitement to play, most or all of my concerns are in a good place, and I'm ready to go.
And can I just ask real quick, what's your role in this? I mean, in athletics, we haven't really followed yet what to do. I mean, we know how to social distance independently. Do you have anything that you have to do, whether it's watching for symptoms or anything like that for yourself or your players, or is this all on other people? Do you delegate that responsibility? Thanks.
Well, certainly I have to take responsibility for myself and make sure that I'm, doing things that are healthy and wise, for my own individual health, but more importantly for everybody around me, whether it be my family, my friends, my neighbors. You bring it to work, the players and the staff. And, so I think, I'm not sure if this was a question, but I think, as a leader, it's important that I follow the guidelines, that, if it's time to wear a mask, that I wear a mask. If I expect other people to wear a mask, then I need to do it. And social distance and temperature checks and, all of go down the list of protocols. If as a leader you're not doing them, then I don't know how you can expect the others to do them. So I think there's a role for all of us to play, including myself.
Eric Name with The Athletic.
Hey, Bud. I'm so often with the NBA season, we talk about it being a marathon. This feels like the opposite. This feels like a sprint that you have to get ramped up really quickly and be ready to go. How does that change your approach and how you try to prepare your team?
Well, I think every team has unique and different kind of circumstances. I think for us, considering what we've done to date, I guess before March 11th or 12th, whenever it is, and where our record is, and when you combine that with the 8 seeding games, hopefully that sense of the sprint is maybe not the same when we think about the big picture and we think about where we want to be. And if you're going to use analogies, I think this is a marathon. The team that ultimately is the last one standing will have been in Orlando a long time, will have gone through a lot. It's a heck of a journey. It's going to be a special champion. And there is a sprint element to, I think, getting back and getting started, but I think to lose sight of the marathon, that it's just a different marathon. I don't know, maybe this is like, what do they call them, a half marathon or 12K or 27K or 25, whatever it is. So anyways, I think we're going to have a little bit of both, at least in our camp.
The other thing I was curious about was, what did it mean to you to see your players in your organization go out of their way to stand up and try to do what they can in regards to social justice, to go out and, protest and march in the Black Lives Matter movement?
Yeah, it meant a ton to me. Meant a ton to our players. Meant a ton to our organization. I was incredibly, I couldn't be there. I was traveling to see my family and get some time with my parents. So I would have loved to have been there and marched with them, but to watch and to read and observe and to hear their thoughts and comments, I couldn't be more proud. I'm hopefully a part of, fighting for change and fighting for justice and fighting for better as we go forward.
Next question, Malika Andrews, ESPN.
Hi, Bud. I'm curious, and without identifying information as to not violate HIPAA, but generally speaking, have anyone within your organization tested positive for coronavirus first? And then secondly, Eric Spoelstra described narrowing down the staff to 35, including players, as an agonizing process. I'm curious what that's been like for you, and are you prioritizing medical or trainers, or how is that working out?
Yeah, for the first question, I know I'm in trouble if you use HIPAA as part of the intro, so we're not going to discuss our testing policies and what has happened or not happened. And so our group has been great. We're following protocol, and we'll continue to do that. And then the question, and as Spo said, it's probably been one of the hardest things to be a part of, to figure out your 35 people that get to go, and it's changed some. The NBA is working with us to try and I guess give us or put us in a position with restraints to be successful. But yeah, I think it's balance. It's like everything. You've got to have a great medical staff, and then everybody knows how important my coaching staff is to me personally, and so you have to make some hard decisions, and that those people that may not be with you physically, they're going to be able to do things for you from Milwaukee and contribute and still be a part of everything we do. And maybe there's opportunities to add going forward. I think the NBA is considering that, and that would be great for us. But yeah, incredibly difficult, and I would just say we have to balance everything.
Next question will be Steve McGargy with Associated Press. Steve, are you there? Steve McGargy, AP.
Yes, I was just trying to see if anybody had indicated they were going to be opting out yet. And also, I was just wondering, the compressed season, the idea that somebody could test positive at any point, just how much more important is depth going to be in this type of season versus any other postseason run? Or do you think it's going to make a difference just with all the different factors into play?
Yeah, we fully expect all of our players to be with us. And, having said that, we fully support our players 100%. with any decision and whatever it is that's they have. But we fully expect everybody to be with us. And then the question, the depth. I think no matter the circumstances, no matter what playoff, historically, or now this one and what's going to be, historic opportunity in a different way, depth is always crucial to success in our eyes. And we've tried to build a roster with great depth, with great versatility. We feel incredibly good about the quality of our roster, and hopefully that's something that plays out for us in our favor. We've used it a lot in the regular season. We've used it a lot in the playoffs and in the past, and we'll continue to lean on it going forward.
Next question, Stephanie Sutton, WISN Television.
Hi, Coach. Hope you're doing okay. And speaking of that, and health, is the silver lining to the pandemic the fact that your players were able to get healthy over the last few months? That's part one of my question. And then part two would be, do you guys feel like you've lost some momentum because you're doing so well? You guys were so hot until the pandemic's, hit. And then as you resume the season, do you feel like you've lost some momentum going into the season coming up here at the end of July?
Yeah, as far as the silver lining with regard to health, I think certainly for us and particularly as it relates to Giannis, to have some time for him to, really heal and get himself, stronger, from a physical standpoint, just in all ways, shapes, and forms is, whenever Giannis gets time to put time in the weight room and Chris and Bled and all of these guys, they can just kind of fine tune their bodies. I think, it's a silver lining for sure, but you have to take that and give it to every other team too, that has probably had a chance to get healthy. But I think that the work that our guys have put in, I certainly have been impressed with, so hopefully maybe we've taken even greater advantage of the silver lining. And then the second question about momentum, I think just generally speaking, we try to be really balanced and really just kind of have a same approach every day. We've had some times when we've lost 2 or 3 games in a row and we don't change a lot, and we've won some 10, 12 games in a row and our approach doesn't change. So I think momentum, while it's real and can happen, it's not something we think or talk about, and we're just excited to get back and get working and playing and participating in the playoffs.
Tim Van Voren, WITI Television.
Hello, Mike. You mentioned your coaching staff earlier and how important they are to you. Those guys are to you. I know you value relationships, and I'm curious as a coach how this time apart has affected relationships with your players and your staff, and how you anticipate all the time together coming up will affect those relationships as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly been different for all of us, just like it's been different for everybody in the world. So, but I think when you're really close and you have deep and meaningful relationships, you find ways to stay connected. And so whether it's Zoom calls or team meetings or texting and phone calls, we certainly have been able to, both with the staff and with the players, I think keep a really high degree of connectivity and just continue to foster those relationships that I think make us, or make a difference for us when we're playing, when we are together. And now you put going to Orlando and being together on the campus for what we hope is a really long time. We're certainly going to have a lot of meals together. We're going to do everything together, and I think that the relationships can grow and become even deeper, and we're excited about that. Hopefully there's not too many brotherly fights and that type of stuff, but we'll probably see a little of everything.
Scott Davis with Insider Sports.
Hey, Coach, can you hear me? I was wondering, in the bubble, do you have any concerns or any plans of how to keep players sort of engaged, time with their family members and go deep into the playoffs? Is there any concern about, losing guys who want to go home, or if you go down in a series, trying to keep people engaged, I guess, in the whole process?
Well, I think certainly, the engagement or the focus of our players is one of, something we talk a lot about and has been at a really high level. So, but, we're coaches, so we worry about everything and we try and think about everything. And, so I think, in advance of going to Orlando, we're thinking of ideas how we can keep them engaged and keep them, mentally in a good place, whether it be being away from families or when adversity hits and, something doesn't go your way, whether it's, in a game or in a series, and how you continue to focus on, what makes us hopefully really good. And you worry about everything, but at the end of the day, I would say our group's focus and engagement, I think is in a great place, and we'll continue to be there as we move to Orlando.
Last few here, Eric Woodyard, ESPN.
Hey, what's up, Coach? How you doing? Coach, not to single one guy out, but, it's constantly being talked about Eric Bledsoe, his playoff performances, ups and downs with him. Being in a famless environment in this bubble, do you think that could possibly help him when the playoffs come around, or how do you see this environment, impacting him once the playoffs do hit?
Well, I think, Eric has been so good for us and is so important to us. And, I think he's as excited as anybody about getting back to the playoffs and, continuing what we hope is a really long run. And, not having fans is going to be really hard for everybody. They're so important to us. They give us so much. And the game is, I think, built for the fans. But, I think Eric has a fight and a competitiveness that, I think sometimes he feeds off the fans, and it's something that can really help him. But, whether it's Eric or any of the players, I think, the ability to just focus in on what we're doing and what's important and have, very limited distractions. Maybe it helps our whole team. Maybe it helps players in general. And we certainly have, high expectations for Eric, high expectations for our group. And we're going to have to figure out how to do it, without fans in this case. And anything that helps any of us, we'll take it if that's the case.
Steve Ashburner, NBA.com.
Hi, Bud. You were involved the first time I can recall the term asterisk getting attached to a championship. And now we're facing a situation where the eventual champion could benefit from the opponent's best player feeling healthy but being sat out for a whole series if with a positive test in the quarantine. Where do you stand on this whole quality of championship that we're all going to try to head toward?
Well, I think I feel like it's been said by others, and I would put myself in the camp that I feel like the champion from this, experience from this season, I think is going to be more worthy and probably more special than any champion. And every year there's things that, I guess in theory make it easier to be the champion. And every year I think there are things in reality that make it more difficult to be the champion. And usually the things that make it more difficult far outweigh anything that makes it less or easier, if that's even the right word. So I think the challenges of this season, this pandemic, everything that's happening in our country, the ability for a team to go back and compete and play against, the other 22 teams in the NBA and come out as a champion, in my mind, it'll be more special and more meaningful than every championship, to be honest with you. They're all incredible. They're all meaningful. They're all if you won one, you can say whatever you want about it. That team, is happy.
Last question from Down Under, Kane Pittman.
Thanks, Dan. How you doing, mate? My question for you is, and you've sort of touched on this a little bit, but from the mental side of this and coaching and getting the group back together, it's been so long and you guys were having such a great run. So how do you now look at this? Does it feel like it's a completely different season almost, even though the record does carry over, as you pointed to?
No, I think we're, as much as possible, I think we're going to pick things up from where we left off, but at the same time know that we haven't played basketball for 2.5, 3 months, I think it is, and there's things that we're going to need to do to get ourselves back to playing at a high level, executing at a high level on both ends. And there's practice that's important, there's scrimmaging that's important, but I don't think we're not going back to ground zero in our minds, both from a mental standpoint, from a physical standpoint, from a work that's been put in standpoint. But at the same time, we know we've got a long ways to go and a lot of work ahead of us.
Thank you so much, everybody, for your time and your questions, and we look forward to seeing you again on Friday. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, guys. Good to see you, some of you.